Hi everybody. Hold on. I gotta post that I'm live because I still haven't like figured out my start soon screen. Okay, sorry. I'm getting hella distracted. So I promise I have a reason for why I'm starting stream so late. It's because Sunday Sunday Grim, my model maker was helping me go through parameters on my VTuber model so I could be more expressive. And then my mouth broke and I couldn't talk. But I can blink now! So now it's no longer staring unendingly into the void of the camera. I'm so late to everything. I apologize, everybody. God, I gotta post that I'm live too. Fuck. Sunday! We gonna do a shoutouts! If I can hold up. This is why I have two keyboards. God damn it. Is it not showing up because I'm doing a lowercase s? That's weird. Come on. Haha. Got it. Got it. I hope that goes to the right link, but you know what? Here we are. God, I haven't done voice testing or nothing. But no, I do have a valid excuse. I know it may seem like I'm procrastinating and avoiding level 3 animation, and I kinda am, but my VTuber model, I couldn't like get her to blink for like the longest time, and so Sunday and I were just like, hey, you know, why don't we get on call? And the exchange was Sunday would show me how to use VTube Studio and how to change my parameters, and then I would show them how to play with tits. essentially. I showed them how to play with their tits. It was great. It was awesome. Look, I'm an 18 plus VTuber, alright? We go places we're not meant to always go, but we go there. Also, I'm getting distracted looking at my model through OBS that's now running correctly, so so like my eyes will look between all the cameras. It was great. Yeah. But see, then we got to yapping, and that's what inspired the title. Two yappers walk into a room, but they don't because they're standing outside the door yapping. God, I have some of the best freaking friends. I love it. I love it here. But yeah, no, we got to yapping, we were messing around with parameters, and then like I got everything ready to stream, and then my mouth broke. I could not talk. And so now we're not sure if it's a tracking issue, if it's a webcam issue. And then VTube Studio on the mobile app, them bastards want $20. Otherwise, they disconnect you from the server in like after like 5 minutes. I mean, I get it. Get your bag, VTube Studio, but come on. All right, stop being rude. Yeah, some of us VTubers are poor. VTube Studio. Put on the pressure. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was weird because like the other app I was looking at for VTubing was VBridger that's supposed to like help better track your face and make you more expressive. But apparently in order to use VBridger, like you can't just have VTube Studio and then put VBridger on top of it, right? Like so in live 2D, you have to rig the model to be compatible with VBridger as well. I thought that was kind of interesting. Hold on, I'm posting that I'm live. I promise I'm not ignoring people. Also, I'm gonna go lurk mode, getting ready for Sleepy EP. Enjoy your stream. I'm sure level 3 is gonna come out awesome. No worries, you have a good night, Sunday. Now that they're not here, I can officially say that they're extorting me. Because now I'm getting like a whole bunch of art commissioned from them. No, they're not. They're great. I'm talking about extending my VTuber model, or at least this one that they made me. Like, I do plan to make my own model with my own bare fins, but in the meantime, I really love this model. I love their art, and they're looking for more fun stuff to boost their portfolio, and I'm like, you know what? I got you. I got you. I got fun shit for you to work on. So, and they're doing it for the exposure. Sparkly, sparkly, sparkly. And then as I got on stream, I asked them if they would make a dessert version of me as a PNG tuber in their style. So maybe I should make that dessert version of me a sticker, and then all proceeds I get from that sticker will go back to them to pay for my model. Fuck, I can't find Twitter on my phone. I swear, I would lose my own head if it wasn't attached to my body. Also, happy belated Halloween. Oh, that's cool. Hold hold up. Um we are gonna do something. I don't know what, but we're gonna do it. As soon as I stop getting distracted. Which, speaking of Halloween, I went to Spirit Halloween because I was hoping to see if I could get, like, a really good deal on, like, a simple, like, dress. Like, spoopy Halloween dress. Unfortunately, I waited too late because they were out of plus sizes. Now I gotta order one from the Evil Bezos website, but it's okay. Because I also want to order some, like, fishnets, too. But I did get, it wasn't, like, entirely, like, a wasted trip because I got some cool, like, spoopy door hanging fabric that I'm gonna use to add more of, like, a spooky vibe because I'm going for, like, undersea, underwater Cthulhu themes. This person has, I'm crying. What is with me today? Okay, actually, let me find this comic brush in the asset library. And then we'll review everything we've done so far, and then I promise we're gonna get, I'm not procrastinating. Anime is ruining my life. Actually, let me check my sound quality super quick. I don't know why people follow me. Nothing ever gets done on time. Maybe that's why I can't, like, get a corpo job, because I never do anything on time. Ooh. Ooh. That's why I can't, like, get a corpo job, because I never do anything on time. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why my mouth is still having issues moving. Maybe like that. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why my mouth is still having issues moving. I'm gonna hit something. Okay. Also, my music's not coming in. That's no bueno. I'm gonna hit something. Has my music not been coming in this entire time? Hold on, there's a bit of a delay. Ah, there we go. Okay, I think we're good. Go down just a little bit more. Like, I want it to be nice background music. What is stream without scuff? Okay. All right, I'm not messing with it no more. Oh, fuck, I was gonna find that brush. Because Clip Paint Studio Asset Library is my weakness. I have like over almost 900-ish brushes. And that might seem small to some people, but to me that's a lot. That's a lot I have to go through and re-download every time I change shit on my computer. But can I search? How do I search by brush ID, actually? Versatile sound effect pens. Ooh. This looks so cool. I'm getting it. And it's free. All right. Okay, so to recap, because I kind of went on hiatus. Also, the anime is ruining my life. Not ruining my life, but definitely ruining my sleep. Okay. All right. So we did levels 1 and 2 of 51 amazing animation exercises to master. I don't have the list for level 1, but this is, as you can tell by this very detailed cutout of level 2. Like, there's a lot we did. Oop. What happened? There's a lot that we did in level 2. So, to go through everybody that we worked on, we gotta go back to the roots. Because, you know, it's been forever and a half. Okay, so we started with the bouncing ball loop. And then we did the bouncing ball across the screen. My spud hand, my drawing hand isn't here. Hold up, let me get that up. You didn't see anything, right? No, go back. Spud tablet. There we go. All right, back to business. So, we did the bouncing ball, and then we did a brick falling from the shelf. This one actually came up really good, but I think I could have got it separated into a bit more pieces parts. Also, if you're wondering, this grid down here is the grid I made for level 2. When I did level 2 animations that required me to have a grid. So everything you see on level 1 is not going to really align with it because I was just kind of like, you know what? Empty space, go burr. This is our simple head turn animation. This is a character blink. I like to say that my blinking has improved since then. Blink, blink, wink, wink. I actually, so I auto blink now because for whatever reason, my tracking just has trouble with me blinking, naturally. So I just do it automatically now. It's on a timer. It's great for everybody. Then we did the flour sack wave. You know, he's a little boy saying hi. Hi, how art thou? And then we got a sack jump. You know, cause they want to jump around, they want to frolic. Unfortunately for this one kind of frolicked a little too hard and fell and went poof. And then this one kicks a ball. I probably should have added more by making that ball bounce. Sorry, I'm going through my old ones and I'm noticing what I could have done differently, what I didn't do differently. This is a character head turn with anticipation. So it's a little bit hard to notice, but they kind of like raise their head a bit and then they turn. And this is a character thinking, although it comes across more as like they're worried something's gonna happen. And then we're on to level 2. And level 2 is where it starts getting interesting because we do a tree fall. We do character changing expression. This one was actually a lot of fun to do when I did it the first time. Character taking a deep breath. The eyes are a bit wonked on it, but I mean, I still like it. I still think it came out cool. Character jumping over a chasm. This is Yindal sneezing. This is a character laughing. This is our walk cycle. This is where we start getting fancy. He's not great, but he walks. One small step for artist, one giant leap for animation. Is that how that works? I think that's how that works. And then character getting hit with a ball. They were just having a yappy conversation. This one is also pretty cute and really interesting because it was a lot of me, like kind of copying and rewinding frames. And then we have our run cycle, which is just basically kind of traced. Like, it's not really that smooth, but you know what? We did it. The important thing is we got it down on paper, even if that paper is digital. God, I'm gonna be awake forever tonight. And I got up at like 10 today. Who needs sleep when you have the power of Diet Coke and will? And then this is where we get into our first set of fast movement, where we have the smear animation. Poor little fishy. He was kind of scared a little bit. It's spoopy. And then this is where we start getting into some logistical stuff that I do not have the knowledge for, but you know what? Sometimes in order to gain the knowledge, you gotta stick shit at the wall and see what works. So this is our character standing up from a chair. I really need to link the person where I find some of my references from. This is somebody reaching a high shelf, and of course they don't get the item that they want because they accidentally pushed it back, which is something I have done more times than I'd like to admit, if I'm being quite honest. And then finally, the pièce de résistance, the graduation from level 2. Is somebody jumping on a pogo stick. This is still one of my favorites because it's like, you'd think that they wouldn't have jumped that hard and then they like launched themselves to the moon. Which, if I remember correctly, I think my brother actually did that. Not with like a pogo stick, but with something else. Or maybe it was a pogo stick. I just remember he almost like face planted into concrete and it was kind of funny. Because I am that sibling that will laugh at you. And with 2 whole levels completed, now we get to do everything in level 3. So let's find the easiest thing to do on this list. So tonight's stream's not going to be as long as my other streams. I know I apologize if that kind of makes you feel a bit cheated. But I did stick with my promise that I was going to do things today. I was going to start this tonight, because if I didn't, I was going to postpone it another week, and then we never would have started until next week. And then I would have found an excuse because I work on Saturday. No, but I'll get home in time to do Strem. Okay, so let me see. So we have licking and sealing an envelope. That one's gonna be kind of fun. We have standing up from the ground. That's gonna be a bit complicated. Pressing the elevator and waiting for it, it's gonna be kind of fun. I'm really interested in seeing this juggling one, because I've actually started seeing a couple juggling, like how to juggle videos pop up on my For You page on TikTok. So I am really excited to do this one, but I think I'm gonna save that one for next week, because then I can dedicate like all my attention on it. This one would have been more fun for Halloween, but you know what? Halloween never ends here. This is the abyss. This is the abyssal bento lunchbox of eternal darkness. Maybe. I feel like I'm way too brightly colored, but yeah. Hammering a nail should be fun. Character painting, that one's gonna be kind of interesting. Overlapping action. I think we could do this one tonight, because I've already done several things with that. Character lifting a heavy object with purpose. The hand ones, I don't know. I don't know if we're ever gonna do these, because they involve hands and I hate hands. 8 hands. So we're gonna do overlapping action. None of these we do in order, because that takes like all the fun out of it. Level 3. And since we don't need a grid for this one, because we're gonna do actually it might be well we do put a grid in for this. So I'm gonna take level 2's grid and we're gonna duplicate it. We're gonna put it in level 3. And I think there's 4 levels of animation exercises. If you want the website is called it's something like 51 grade animation exercises to master or 51 grade animation exercises.com or something like that. I'm probably lying. Just Google search 51 great animation exercises to master, and you too can be a masochist like me. Now, that's not to say that you can't you can't do these on vector-based animations where there's keyframing and tweening, because you could totally do that too. I just do it on hand-drawn. I just do it on hand-drawn animation because I like drawing by hand. And drawing frame by frame can help you build consistency. So I'm trying to think what kind of overlapping animation I want to do. I wonder if we could do like maybe a tail wiggle. Go wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Also, I found next week's co-op game, and no one can tell me otherwise. So forever ago, Migsy and I went head to head into, God, that was like forever ago. But Migsy and I played a game called No Time to Relax, and I've played it with a couple of other friends as well, and I get like hardcore competitive in that game. And yeah, if you want to see Fan as an evil person, play let's all get together and play No Time to Relax. Once I move into that sweet condo apartment and I'm in a higher tax bracket, I look down on all the peasants. On all the peasants, because fame and money changes people. But no, so the reason why I'm talking about it is because No Time to Relax came out with another game called Walk of Life. And it's basically No Time to Relax if No Time to Relax was like beefed up, because now from looking at the trailer, you now have to like make sure you shower and you can actually like decorate your apartment how you want to. And now there's like world like scaling events that will mess with your plans and like fuck you up, and it's great. It's absolutely great. I am so excited. I cannot wait. I am gonna test run just to like kind of get my bearings. And just mess around with some of the mechanics. Because, you know, everybody's gotta have a chance, you know, we gotta give the group a chance to like be awesome. God, I'm yapping and I'm getting distracted. But yeah, and it's great because like so we figured out how Velvet and I figured out how Steam Remote Play worked, which is how we could play Bones Cafe, which we are gonna return to, by the way. We are gonna play it again. But we did play Bones Cafe, and prior to testing Bones Cafe, I was like, well, hey, do you want to play No Time to Relax? Because it's a great game. And we played it. And it was a great time. Like, in one round, he got a toaster for his apartment, right? And I'm like, yeah, get that toaster. Toast all that sweet French bread, because you like French toast, right? He's like, yeah, I love French toast. And then, completely unfiltered, 2 rounds later, I went, hey, Velvet. And he goes, what? And I'm like, toast me like one of your French breads. Oh my god. fucking great. I can't wait. I'm so excited. God, I feel like I've been yapping all day today. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make guidelines for the tail of this creature. This is just a rather like simplistic creature. I'm gonna put dots like right there. And so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the body on its own layer. So that way it's static and it doesn't move. And then we're gonna do overlap. We're gonna overlap the animation to where the, tail, eyes, and ears move. And I think that's gonna help us with all of our overlapping animation. Also, I just realized my pen is like super off. It's okay though. And you know what? Because it's, you know, because Halloween just passed, we're gonna make it a void. A little wholesome void pet. Oh, also, if you're curious as to which anime has started ruining my life, it's Rise of the Shield Hero. I started rewatching the anime Friday. I think I started watching it. I think I started it at like after I did stream on Friday. And I can't whatever they put in anime, it's like crack, heroin, something. They do something with anime because what happens is when you start watching anime, your ability to sleep just goes away. Like, you have no desire to sleep at all. Because, like, I started it at, I think, like, midnight? And then I started watching season 1, and I ended season 1 at, like, 2 p.m. the next day. And that completely derailed, like, all the plans I had. And then I was like, so I wound up passing out at like 2. I took a nap and I didn't wake up again until almost like 7. And then I got up and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm up. I gotta get ready for stream. So I got all my shit together and I was gonna start stream. And yeah, that didn't happen because I was like, you know what? I can watch a few more episodes before I start. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Cause you fall in this trap, right, where you're like, okay, one more episode. Okay, one more episode. And before I knew it, I had one more episode myself into it, being like 3 to 4 hours past the time I was supposed to start streaming, and I was like, fuck. And then I was like, well, you know what? I gotta go to the fish market in the morning. So what I'll do is I'll go to bed at, I'll stop watching anime, I'll go to bed at 2. That'll give me plenty of sleep to, you know, get up in the morning, get to work, get to the fish market. And, yeah, that didn't happen either because I didn't go to bed until 5 a.m. So, yeah. So I didn't go to bed until like 5 a.m. And then, when I did go to bed, I was like, all right, you know what? I can do this. I can get like 3 hours of sleep and I can wake up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. No, I woke up at like 9:50. I had hit the snooze button and I woke up at 9:50. And I literally threw on the first set of clothes I could find and I ran out the door to go to my car so I could go to work and so I could go to work at the fish market and be at the fish market on time. And then I was like dead on my feet for the first like 2 hours, and then I went in and I got a soda, and then I was wide awake. On the bright side, I only have 3 more episodes left to finish of season 4, and then I'm done. So, hooray? Question mark? Look, don't be like me. 31. Living with a roommate, questioning the life choices that led me here, and binging anime. Or do be like me, I don't control you. But actually, you know what? I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna talk about why I love the Shield Hero, because it's an anime I'm passionate about. So if you haven't seen that anime, be forewarned, there are... I'll try not to be too spoilery with it, but I am gonna talk about my favorite moments and whatnot. So there are gonna be some spoilers. But yeah, there are gonna be some spoilers. Yes, I apologize. But if you haven't seen it, so, and actually some people may not want to watch it because the quality kind of like drops, or rather some people say that it does. As somebody who's watched all the seasons, it's actually inspiring me to want to read the light novels. Which, if you don't know, Rising of the Shield Hero is actually based on the light novel by the original name, The Rising of the Shield Hero. But anyways, so in Rising of the Shield Hero, it is about the main character. His name is Naofumi Iwatani, and he gets isekai'd through a book into another world, where he becomes what's known as the Shield Hero. And one thing that's really interesting about it is that all the heroes that are summoned are from different versions of Japan. So how do I explain it? I feel like I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But, in any case, so Naofumi gets summoned as the Shield Hero, through a light novel, actually, which I think is interesting because it's a very different, like, I say very different, but it's different from the isekai trope of being trapped in a video game or getting like, unalived TM to go to another world. And we're gonna add just the teeniest bit of shading just so that way it kind of looks like there's some dimension. But anyways, so Naofumi gets summoned with like three other people from different versions of Japan. So, like, you have the Shield Hero, who's Naofumi. You have the Bow Hero, who is named Itsuki. I don't remember his last name. Then you have Ren, who's the Sword Hero. And then you have Motoyasu, who is the Spear Hero. And basically, the weapons that they have, the shield, sword, spear, and bow, they're called the 4 cardinal weapons, right? And so they only ever take heroes that are summoned, essentially, or isekai'd, I should say. Well, from the get-go, Naofumi sort of becomes person non grata because he is a defender class. He is like a defender class, like a tank, like what would be considered a tank. And people who play tanks in this universe are considered to be very weak and very like, basically they're considered to be babies because, you know, you're playing with high defense rather than, you know, going and attacking things and I guess being useful to people. I don't know what the beef is with the tank class, because as somebody who's played FF14 and has gotten yelled at by a tank, I feel like a tank, or somebody who's played Final Fantasy 14, I have been a tank and I have been yelled at for being a tank, I could see the tank going on a whole ass villain arc, alright? Whole ass villain arc. But no, the first episode is like 40-ish minutes, and it's amazing. It's an amazing episode. Because even though Naofumi is considered like person non grata, they still sort of like tolerate him, albeit not like great. And the other thing of it is that the other three heroes consider like the world to be part of whatever video games they're playing. So like for Ren, he's like, this is a virtual reality like MMO game I'm playing. Or for Itsuki, this is like a console game that he's been playing, you know. But the way Naofumi got there was through a book, right? So like he doesn't really know anything about the world, but the other three summoned heroes do. And so this causes a lot of concern because it's like the heroes are summoned with essentially like instant understanding of how the world works and how all the magic works, and you know, that kind of like that isekai trope of you know, video game logic go burr, right? And crap, I can't think. So anyways, basically they stay in the castle and they rest, and it becomes very obvious that that the other three like heroes that are summoned with Naofumi, they're kind of like, you know, we know what we're doing, we know how all this shit works, like we're the fucking bee's knees, right? And it also doesn't help that like they're considered to be vastly more like charismatic and popular. So what happens is like the first night they kind of get like introduced to things, and they figure out that they're from different versions of Japan, you know, this, that, and the other. Well, then the next day they get summoned by the king, and the king's like, okay, we'll assign you, you know, like party members. These are, you know, like the strongest adventurers in the land, and they'll form your party to which you can go level up. And what they find out is that they can't, like, so the four cardinal heroes can't be in a party together, and they can't level up together because the cardinal weapons essentially don't, like, it hinders the cardinal weapons ability to get stronger if they're near each other. So like if these weapons get near each other, then they don't get like experience points, if that makes sense. Like they don't get stronger. The other thing to note is that when you are assigned a cardinal weapon, right? So like Motoyasu, right? Motoyasu gets a spear. That is the only weapon he can use. He can only use spears. He can't use swords. He can't use bows. I don't even think he can use like a knife. He only has a spear. So that's definitely not going to be a problem for Naofumi, who can only use a shield. Like Naofumi can't pick up a sword, can't pick up a bow, arrow, nothing. Like, homeboy is pure defense. You know, it's great. Kind of sad, but great. Also, like, hell yeah, fucking tank power. Anyway, that's not the point. So the point is that I have no clue what I'm doing, and I'm just yapping. So anyways, so let me create a new folder here. I'll call it Reach Dale. Sorry, I gotta stretch a little bit. God, why can't I think? I think, therefore I is. Alright, here we go. World 1-1. Let's go. Hold on. Una momento. I think that counts as a cell. New animation cell. Yeah, it does. Okay. So anyways, so the next day, yeah, so essentially the cardinal weapons can't like train or level up together, so they can't form a party together. So what the king does is the king, already knowing this because, you know, ancient legend thingy-mabob, you know, says, and we know the stories and this, that, and the other. He went ahead and called for like the strongest adventurers from around the country to essentially help them. And the other thing that they're told that they have to do is, as these cardinal heroes, they have to fight off these things known as the waves of catastrophe, which are basically like these portal dimensions that just drop in like a shitload of monsters, right? And sorry, hold on. So anyway, so they're told that they have to fight off the waves of catastrophe. So anyway, so sorry, I know I'm like, we're never gonna stray. We're gonna take the scenic route everywhere, and I'm gonna go on like multiple tangents. So apologies. So anyways, so they go to so the next morning they get summoned by the king, and they get told, they're like, hey, you know, we have adventurers for you to make up your party, so that way you can go level up and not have to worry about, you know, the fact that all of your fucking stats are, you know, are level 1. And so, like, you know, now Fumi is young, bright-eyed, full of hope. Like, he's genuinely, I think, the only one excited to, like, be there and do this. Like, the other 3 guys are kind of, like, smug-ass bastards, because they're like, oh my god, this is more of the same TM. Like, la-di-fucking-da. You know, we're in another video game. Sorry, I know I got my pretentious voice out and then I absolutely fucking lost it. So, yeah, apologies to all my friends who want to watch this anime and are now getting spoiled. So anyways, so, essentially, like, the way it's supposed to work is usually, you know, you're the party leader, you get to pick your party. However, the way it works in, the way it actually pans out is that the adventurers pick the hero that they want to adventure with, essentially. And, all of them do not pick Naofumi, right? They all pick one of the other heroes, leading to, like, an uneven division. And, Itsuki tries to be like, oh, well, you know, usually, like, we could divvy them up so that way we each have 3 party members, but if we attempt to force the issue, they may have a problem. And so the king is just like, okay, well, you know, even I didn't expect this to happen. However, you know what, we'll give y'all, like, we're gonna give you a stipend, right? And so what he does in an act of generosity is he gives Naofumi like, I think like 800 silver or gold coins to essentially recruit himself a party. And and after like Naofumi kind of, you know, like makes a stink about the fact that he doesn't have anybody in his party because, again, he's a shield user. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna bash shit to death? I mean, that's a cruel and unusual death, to just kind of bash shit to death. Anyway, so Naofumi makes a big stink about the fact that like no one chose him, which valid crash out, by the way. Like, maybe a bit frowned upon and maybe a bit like, you know, a bit, you know, like, what is it? What do they call it? Like temper tantrum-y, but like at the same time, like, you know, he's kind of got a point, like, but you can't force people, right? So, but once he gets like a bigger stipend than the other heroes, he kind of like calms down a little bit. And then like one of Motoyasu's party members decides to volunteer to join him, right? To join Naofumi. And so Naofumi, you know, is kind of excited because now he has a party member and it's this cute girl. And, you know, it plays into that isekai trope. By the way, this anime does play into the harem isekai trope, but it's kind of weird how they do it. Anyway. God, I'm supposed to be drawing and this is the problem. I can't draw and yap at the same time. It's either one or the other. Woo. So, I don't like that tail. I think what I'll do is I'll just copy the original tail and then I'll just warp it into place. Thank God man created the warp tool. So in any case, so Naofumi gets a new party member and she shows him around town and, you know, she seems super fucking nice, right? Because she's like, let's go get you some equipment. Let's, you know, let me teach you about how money works and, you know, about buying and reselling armor and how to not get screwed, you know, when you outgrow it and you need to resell it. And so eventually, so they go to this like little meadow and they start, you know, fighting monsters. And so the way Naofumi levels up is Naofumi feeds the monster spawn drops into the shield, right? And that's how he levels up. And slowly he like kind of gains experience points. He gets new unlocks for his shield because, you know, the more you feed it, the more skills that unlock in like this skill tree. And so anyways, and so he's learning and they have a great time and they have a lot of fun. And then they go back to the weapon shop to get another like upgrade for like their armor and stuff. And they sell some of the like monster drops. Well, that night, they go to an inn and this girl, her name is Mine. Mine is an absolute fucking bitch. I think her adventuring name is Malty. But sorry, I've already played my hand too early. But anyways, so they go to the inn and they go and they eat dinner. And Naofumi's like, oh my god, you know, like the food's amazing. What's interesting about this is that Mine, I'm just gonna call her Mine because if I call her Malty, I'm gonna want to call her Melty, and Melty is like a different character that we'll get to later. But But in any case, so mine and Naofumi are in the inn, and they go have they're eating food, and while they're eating food, mine is like, hey, why don't you have a glass of wine, a drink with me to, you know, like celebrate us starting our journey. And Naofumi is like, thanks, but, you know, I don't drink, sorry. You know, I don't mean to be rude. And this is where something interesting comes to light. So, mine is kind of like off-put by Naofumi's refusal to drink with her, right? And, she tries to push the issue a little bit more, but Naofumi persists in the fact that he doesn't drink. And so finally she drops it, and then she tells him that their country, which is called the country of Melromark, is a matriarchal society. It's a matriarchal country, meaning that if a woman were to offer a man a drink, they ordinarily would not refuse, you know. And that is very interesting to me, because it's an interesting bit of information at the fact that, one, they're a matriarchal society, and two, if that is the case, where is the queen? Which we do find out a little bit later that she's away on business, like diplomatic business, but you know, you would think with the king in charge, Melromark would be a country where the king rules. Anyway, that aside, that's actually interesting because if you think about it in chess, right? I promise I have a point. So in chess, the king is the only male on the board. Or rather, at least the king and like some of the other pieces are males on the board, but like if you take a pawn, like all the pawns are females, because if you get them to the other side of the chessboard, you can crown them to be queens. I think that's interesting. I think that's very interesting. And usually if the king gets captured, then, you know, everything essentially falls apart. But that aside, So Malty says, okay, well, you know what, if you're not gonna, it's too bad that you won't drink with me. And Naofumi is like, how about I make it up to you later? I'm kind of tired, so I'm gonna go to bed. And so mine is like, okay, well then, you know what, I'll finish your wine and then I'll go to bed. And so that's essentially what happens. Naofumi goes to his room in the inn, and what he decides to do is he goes over his funds, right? And he decides that he's going to put some money, you know, like on his person, like just as savings, you know, in case. And he's like, you know, it's a bit stereotypical, but like I don't want to be, you know, financially like insecure, and that's kind of reasonable, you know. He makes a joke about acting like a stereotypical like Japanese tourist, which I guess is what they do when they go outside the country. They just, honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. You know, you have like your main stash of money, and then you have like a stash of emergency funds, you know, in case shit hits the fan. You know what? That's smart. That's a very smart touristy thing to do. So anyways, so after Naofumi goes to bed, he wakes up the next morning and everything's gone. He's been robbed. His equipment's gone, his money's gone, like, with the exception of what he saved, but everything's gone. And, you know, he rightfully starts freaking the fuck out. And so he tries to go to Mine's room and tries to, like, wake her up. You know, because he's like, Mine, are you okay? Like, we've been robbed, like, this, that, and the other. And, so, as he's, you know, like, freaking the fuck out for good reason, all of a sudden the knights come by, and the knights are like, hey, you have been summoned to go to the castle, by the king. And Naofumi is like, well, I mean, can it wait? Because we've been robbed, and, you know, I need you to investigate who the thief is. And the knights are like, they don't even hear him. They're just like, go to the castle. And so Naofumi does, and what winds up happening is as he gets to the castle, he sees the king on the throne, who's looking very angry at him, mind you. And then he sees Motoyasu holding Mine, and he's like, Mine, thank God you're okay, you know? Because, like, I was really worried. I hadn't heard from you. I didn't know what was going on. Somebody robbed us. And then Motoyasu lays into Naofumi. And it's just like, who do you think you fucking are, dude? Like, you're... God damn it. Like, you're a hero. A hero shouldn't act this way, and this, that, and the other. And of course, Naofumi is now like, what the fuck are you talking about, my guy? And so anyways, so through several heartbreaking moments, it comes to light that Mine is accusing Naofumi of being inappropriate with her. Essentially, Mine is accusing Naofumi of forcing himself on her. Now remember, this is a matriarchal country, okay? That shit don't fucking fly. And that's like like, she's royalty on top of that, right? So like, one, not only is that punishable by death, just in general, but he did it with a noble woman and the princess, like the first princess, you know? So like, shit's fucking wild. And of course, Naofumi is there like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I swear nothing happened. I went to bed, you know, after dinner, and he tries to get Mine to like corroborate his story, and she's like, he's lying. You know, the shield hero, you know, tried to, you know, like, have his way with me and do this, that, and the other. And I was so scared, and so I ran to Motoyasu's room at the inn, because they were all three staying at the same inn. And Motoyasu is just like, you scoundrel, like, you know, I would have gone to the knights that night, but Mine begged me to wait until morning. And Naofumi is just like, he's trying to tell them, he's trying to be like, hey, she's lying, what she's saying is not true. And as if damning evidence doesn't, you know, like, show the fuck up, the king asks for the knight to present proof that, you know, Naofumi committed this heinous crime. And the knight says, we found this piece of lingerie, which is this, like, a blue like camisole on the bed. And Naofumi's like, I've never seen that before. But, you know, they don't believe him, because why the fuck would they? And so, sorry. And so anyways, so I'm trying to think. So Naofumi, So Motoyasu and the other heroes, Ren and Itsuki, they all kind of get on their high horse and they're like, you know, how could you? You're a hero. Heroes don't act like this. This is reprehensible, this, that, and the other. And they're all for giving Naofumi the fucking death penalty for this, mind you. By the way, and mine is crying, and Naofumi is just like wondering what the hell is going on. And so anyways, so after the knight like shows this like piece of lingerie that Naofumi obviously doesn't recognize, the king takes it as admission and, you know, says, you know, like, you're on the chopping block, you know, bloody 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. They actually can't kill Naofumi. So, basically with summoned heroes, what it is that, summoned heroes are essentially summoned at one time, number one. And in order to summon new heroes, they have to kill all four of them. So, you have one of them who's being, you know, framed for a heinous act and being told by a princess, essentially, that, you know, he is this horrible, terrible monster of human. And this completely destroys what little tolerable standing he had, essentially. And of course, you know, like, nobody believes him. Nobody wants to, like, you know, see his side of things. And that's when Naofumi realizes that everything that happened was a setup. And, so that, you know, pisses off Naofumi, you know, like it fucking should. So what they decided to do is they, because they can't kill him without killing, Ren, Itsuki, and Motoyasu, they decide, all right, we're gonna let you live, but we're gonna make life abso-fucking-lutely miserable for you in the country of Melromark. So, like, you will not be able to lead, like, any kind of life. And this is immediate, because the moment he gets, like, thrown out of the castle, which, by the way, the money he saved in the shield that could have, like, helped him, maybe, he chucks at the king, because he's like, you know what? Fuck you, fuck everybody here. I hate all of you. And, this is, we're gonna get up to, like, the show's most, like, intense criticism, by the way, because this spawned other copycat, like, isekais. I'll put in quotation marks, copycat isekais. So anyway, so Naofumi gets essentially thrown out of the castle, and then around town, everybody just absolutely hates him. Like, they may not have hated him openly, like, the first time he was walking around, but they hate him now. And people are actively like, you know, get the hell out of here. Nobody wants you. You're a curse upon these lands. You know, like this, like Homeboy's already bleeding on the ground. Please don't kick him more. And so he decides that he's going to be financially independent and he's going to get stronger. And how he does this is he goes out to, like, the local training area And he goes and he fights low-level mobs. But again, you have to remember, he's the shield hero, so he can't pick up a weapon. So essentially, he's just beating shit to death, right? But this is where it gets interesting. He discovers that when he gets bitten by these low-level mobs, shit don't hurt. Right? Like they're actively like munching on his arm and his side and his leg, and homeboy is feeling no pain. And so he gets an idea. Okay? And so what happens is the next time he goes back in town, he goes to a merchant and he tries to sell some low-level mob drops. And the merchant and prior to this, the merchant had a customer where he offered, like, I think a bronze piece for every pair. Well, the customer before him only had, I think, like 6 pairs. No, not a bronze piece. It was a copper piece for every pair. And so when it's Naofami's turn to try to sell his stuff, he has like a whole ball of these like low-level mob drops, and the merchant's like, I'll give you one copper piece for the entire lot. And Naofami is just like, really? You offered that other guy, you know, 1 for every pair. And the merchant's trying to play dumb, and it's just like, I don't know. And so Naofami's like, oh really? So Naofami basically like moves his cape aside and it's just like, do you think these will fetch a higher price because they're alive? And so he's got these low-level monsters that are like just fucking gnawing on him, and the merchant like start to freaking out. And so what Naofami does is, this is so fucking great, because Naofami is just like, I'm not trying to rip you off, I just want a fair market price. Without, you know, my reputation, getting in the way. And so the merchant, like, after Naofami basically, like, Dutch ovens him with these low-level mobs, the merchant gives in, and the merchant's like, okay, fine. So, the merchant's like, all right, you got your wish. It has nothing to do with, you know, your reputation. Money is money, blah, 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 blah. And Naofami is like, okay. Also, be sure to tell your merchant friends that if they think they can double cross me, there's gonna be some prices to pay. And and so like, homeboy is using low-level mobs to like scare these ordinary people into like doing business with him, right? And I respect the hustle. All right, homeboy gets framed for a crime he didn't commit, and then fully leans into, all right, if everybody thinks I'm a bastard anyway, I may as well be one. So So, what happens? In any case, so Naofami finally starts making some decent money, you know, after threatening all the merchants about, hey, if you're gonna double cross me, that's no bueno. But the issue that he's having is he can't level up quick enough, and there's another like wave of catastrophe coming, and if he doesn't level up, he's likely to, you know, like die. Well, there's this guy that, you know, he goes to the inn, he goes and gets a drink, and then he gets haggled by these bandits that, or like these guys that are like, hey, you know, this dude's an easy target. Like, we can do whatever the hell we want with him and take his money. And so what they try to do is they try to lead him into a back alley to essentially form a party contract. Oh, sorry. I had a drink because I'm chit-chatting too much. Chitty chat chats. So they try to like ambush him and rob him, and he just chucks low-level mobs at them. And they're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you can't do that. That's cheating. And I'm like, excuse me? How is homeboy cheating when you're trying to gang up on him 3-1? Like, what the fuck? Y'all are a bunch of fucking assholes. Anyway, so they're, you know, like complaining and this, that, and the other. Well, Naofumi, you know, drives them off, but he's angry because he's stuck in this cycle of he can't farm XP, which means he can't level up. And if he can't level up, he can't get stronger. But the only way to get stronger is to farm XP to level up. But if he only gets 1 XP per mob, like, you know, it's no bueno. Like, it's not gonna work. He's not gonna get strong enough in time. And so what he winds up doing is he winds up catching the attention of this dude, this very like finely dressed dude, and the guy, and Naofumi's like, who the hell are you? And this guy's like, come with me and I'll show you, and being all mysterious. And so he leads Naofumi to a circus tent in the middle of town. And it turns out, homeboy is a slave trader. He trades in slaves. And this is where the anime gets, I think, the most criticism. Because people are like, if he is from our world, like, our version of the world where, you know, slavery is bad, right? Why would he partake in the buying and purchasing of slaves, right? Because slavery is a very horrible and terrible thing, especially, you know, like what happened here in the States, right? Like, again, this is a very mature, like, topic, so I apologize if this is triggering for anybody. But while the criticism I feel is valid, you also have to look at the fact that Naofumi kind of has no other fucking choice, right? He can't recruit anybody to be part of his party. He can't leave the country because he doesn't know where else to go. Not only that, I don't think anybody would, like, help him. And he can't recruit any party members because everyone believes he did this horrible, terrible thing to the princess, right? And, let me be clear. This is how the anime presents all the information, right? The manga and the light novel are a bit different. Like, they still follow a lot of the same story beats, but the anime has made Naofumi not as, like, dark and bitter as his manga and light novel counterpart actually is. In fact, in the light novel, the world and everything that's going on in it is a lot more fucking gritty than it's presented in the anime. And the manga touches up on some of it, but, like, even in the manga, Mind's betrayal kind of turns Naofumi into, I want to say, like, a bit of a misogynist against women in general. And, you know, kind of for, like, good reason. But also, he finds that he loses his ability to taste anything. Like, he can't, none of the food tastes like anything. Well, anyways, so the slave trader is like basically obsessed with Naofumi and wants to turn Naofumi into, like, a great businessman, and feels like, you know, he can provide a service to this very deplorable, like, guy, right? And to each their own, kind of like, it's still bad. So, and this is where Raphtalia comes in, because Naofumi buys this little raccoon demi-human named Raphtalia, and Mostly the reason being, one, is because Raphtalia is cheap. But, two, and the reason why she's cheap is because, like, don't get it twisted, you know, life, regardless if you're in a fantasy world or the regular one, life itself is priceless. You only get one, you have so many hours in a day, like, but we're just going based off of the anime. So in the anime, Raphtalia is rather cheap for a slave. She's very low level. She's sick. She has nightmares. Her last owner was kind of a dick. You know, like, he liked torturing demi-humans, which Raphtalia is. She's a raccoon demi-human, and demi-humans, so come to find out, there are some countries that practice demi-human supremacy and some countries that practice human supremacy, and they don't get along. So in some countries that have demi-human supremacy, humans are slaves, and then in other countries where human supremacy is practiced, demi-humans and beastmen are slaves. It's kind of interesting. It's a very interesting, like, dichotomy, so to speak, and something that I kind of want to explore a bit more in the light novels about how all that shit works. But, sorry, hold on, I'm trying to think of drawings. This is where it gets interesting. So Naofumi in the anime really doesn't, like, say anything. We don't really get a view on, like, his thoughts, other than the fact that he wants to use Raphtalia as a tool, as a blade, because he's kind of got, like, no other choice, right? And the thing of it is because this is a world of magic, slaves are given a slave crest, and when you're given a slave crest and that crest is transferred to ownership, you can't lie to your master, and if your master gives you a command, you have to obey it, because it's essentially like wearing a shock collar. If you don't obey, you will get shocked. Again, which is no bueno. We're not debating that. But in any case, I don't know why I keep looking at my, like, third monitor. I keep looking at my third monitor when I talk, but I should be looking at my camera to talk directly to the viewers, but I don't know. Ever since I was younger, I've always had an obsession with, like, seeing my reflection and, like, seeing myself. And every time I catch, like, my eyes staring at my model, I'm just like, ooh, look at the pretty fish lady. Anyways, so that aside, so basically in the manga, because I actually read this part of the manga, so in the manga, when Naofumi gets Raphtalia, Naofumi has full-on plans to torture her, because it's the closest he can get to fucking up mine, essentially. And if you're like, oh my god, he would, yes, he absolutely would, 100% would. Well, he didn't, like, so in the manga, he didn't, before I start making this dude a bad guy, because he's actually, like, at heart, he's not a bad guy. But, But in the manga, he actually, like, so the manga and the anime follow it pretty closely. Like, yes, initially he wanted to be selfish, he wanted to hurt her, but he also recognized, one, that she's a little kid, and two, she's a little kid with fucking nightmares. Because because basically what had happened was there was a wave of catastrophe that had started before the heroes were called, and not everybody could have fended it off. And her parents, unfortunately, you know, like, perished in that first wave. And so what Alphamy decides to do is, granted, he's doing everything in his own best interest. And one of the things that happens to be in his best interest is to keep Raphtalia alive by giving her good food and medicine. And the way Raphtalia sees this as an owner who's taking care of her, because that's essentially what Naofumi is doing. At the same time, though, he also arms her with a knife, and he's like, you will fight for me, you have to. And what he finds out is that he set Raphtalia as a companion, and when you set somebody as a companion, you share, it's sort of like sharing experience points. And he didn't do that with Mine when they initially formed a party, because Mine never told him to do that. So, yeah. So now Naofumi is making, like, leagues to basically level up, but Raphtalia is still kind of, you know, hesitant to fight monsters and kill things. And Naofumi, like, basically in the anime and the manga, and I'm assuming this happens in the light novel too. Again, a lot of this is all based on the light novel, and the light novel is a lot more gritty than the manga. Like, don't get me wrong, the manga still is gritty. Naofumi is still kind of like a dickhead. But it's very watered down in the anime. And the reason they did that is because they thought that Naofumi would be considered too unsympathetic if they kept his original, like, personality, which, I mean, I kind of get, but at the same time, let the dude, like, the dude has been tortured, let him be a dick. Which he's a dick in, like, other ways. I'm saying dick a lot, oh my god. But, oh, whoop. But anyways, so, so there comes a point where Naofumi essentially begs Raphtalia, he's like, hey, all I'm good for is defense. I need you to be a fighter for me. Because if I can't level up and get stronger, I can't protect people like you. And we can't prevent, you know, it's this big speech about how, you know, her parents are gone and she can't bring them back. But what she can do as a hero is prevent continued suffering to other children who are like her. And, you know, try to make sure that, you know, her parents, like, their parents are going to be okay. And so Raphtalia takes this to heart, and then she becomes like a full-on companion to Naofumi, and that's how they essentially start their journey. And then, like, demi-humans are also a bit different because the way that they level up is, or the way that they grow up is when they're a level, like, essentially increases. They go from being children to being adults, essentially. So, and of course Naofumi doesn't like realize this until like later. But yeah, that's basically like the first episode in an essential, that's actually technically the first 2 episodes in an essential nutshell. I apologize. But like, it's a fucking great anime. Like, okay, season 1 punched fucking hard though, right? One of my favorite scenes is the the 4 cardinal heroes, right? So several months go by and Naofumi is kind of like the grunt guy that's like cleaning up in the aftermath of all these like great adventures that Itsuki, Ren, and Motoyasu are having, which you can't redeem Motoyasu. I fucking find him annoying as shit and I hate him. I do like how unhinged he kind of gets in later seasons, but I don't fucking like him. But, in any case, so anyways, so they go up against this, like, kind of big bad, and, it's funny because Ren, Itsuki, and Motoyasu are just, like, the 4 cardinal heroes together, you know, are together for, you know, the first time in teamwork and this, that, and the other. And Naofumi is just kind of like, screw all you guys. Fuck y'all. I'm not helping you. And they all look at him and they're like, what do you mean you're not gonna fucking help us? Don't be such a jerk. And Naofumi is like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, first of all, so yeah, so Naofumi goes on a fucking crash out tirade about all the shit he's had to like clean up from them not doing their fucking jobs properly. It's still one of my favorite moments in the entire anime. And might I add, well within Naofumi's right to be like, are you guys fucking serious? But yeah, no, I really want to read the light novel for more like context, and I also want to read it for just because I want to see like how gritty things actually are and compare them to the anime. So the other thing that I think is kind of, you know, sad is the voice actor, and I'm terribly sorry that the English voice actor for Naofumi, he passed away due to colon cancer, and they had to replace him. And I think at the time when season 2 came out, like, it probably would not have been that jarring, but watching the anime and watching it from season 1 and then going to season 2, and I know this is not the like new voice actor's like fault or anything, but like it felt like Naofumi kind of lost a lot of his like punch, essentially. it felt like a very different character. Like, the first time he spoke, I was just like, you're not Naofumi! Who the hell are you? But no, that, and again, that's no shade to the voice actor. I think he was just trying to like he was trying to do his best to continue and like try to figure out the character. It does, like, over the course of season 3 and 4, he does get like better into it. And it starts sounding like Naofumi from season 1, but God, season 2 was just... Season 2 was hard. Season 2 is also a bit more slice of life, so I kind of understand some people's criticism that the show, like, season 1 was spectacular, and then they couldn't, like, replicate it for season 2. 3 kind of gets a little bit better, and 4 adds a new interesting dynamic that I kind of like. Season 3 is interesting because you get more context into, or rather you get a little more context into Ren, Itsuki, and Motoyasu. But no, until I had like rewatched the anime, and I do plan to rewatch Gurren Lagann too, when my sleep schedule like fucking recovers, because my god, so one thing I do love about the anime, and this particular isekai in general, is it calls into question the responsibility of heroes. And, you know, like, what, like, are they heroes because they want to be heroes? Are they heroes because they were chosen to be? Or, like, are they heroes because, you know, and the responsibility that, like, goes along with that, right? It also calls into question, you know, motives of people that put in requests for hero jobs, too, in an interesting way that gets revealed in, season 3. I also like, so Naofumi, being rejected, you know, the way that he is, and, you know, having his entire reputation ruined and nobody will, like, believe him, is interesting because he's also considered, like, among the world, and because he's doing all this grunt work, he is considered, like, a more worthy hero than the other heroes, which I think is interesting. But also, he, Oh, the other thing that's funny is everybody that he introduces himself to is, so like he introduces himself as Naofumi, the shield hero, and everybody's like, what? No, you can't be the shield hero. The shield hero is an evil crook who puts people in debt forever. And, you know, he blackmails and extorts people. That can't be you. And Naomi's like, party members are just like, no, he's really like a great guy. And Naomi's just like, actually, that's pretty spot on. That's not actually that far from the truth. Like, homeboy just at this like is so used to it that he just fully leans into it, and whenever somebody like brings it up or is just like, there's no way that's you, he's just like, yeah, no, all the rumors are true. Doesn't even deny them. Does not 100% deny them. It does a little flappy flap. It doesn't really drag like a tail, but you know what? This I'm too like EP to do anything outside of this. I think I'm just gonna do like the movable parts and then I'll edit it later. I said this wasn't going to be long as a normal stream of mine, and here I am because I was yapping. I'm like, you know what? Actually, it is. I'm probably going to have to go back and reanimate this tail if I think about it, but it's good enough for now. I don't know. Rising of the Shield Hero does isekai, I feel, in like a really interesting way. And it did spawn a lot of copycat isekais that were trying to like garner on its reputation. I know I talked about how it does, you know, like the harem anime trope in a really interesting way. And the reason why I say interesting is because like all the girls essentially want to get with Naofumi, but Naofumi doesn't want to be with any of them. And regardless if that's because of what happened with mine and he's just afraid of getting accused again for doing something that he didn't do, or he just genuinely doesn't care anymore. Like, I haven't gotten far enough in the manga and I haven't started the light novel to actually say if him and Raphtalia would get together or not, because it's still very much him being resistant to it and her pining after him like hard. And that in itself is a bit, I could see in a way where that could also be a bit problematic, because he technically raised her from the time she was like, she appeared to be like 9 or so, and now she's like a woman essentially. So that's hit or miss, but I think overall it works out in the end. The other interesting thing is with the whole like slavery angle, like if you watch the later seasons, you realize that he's trying to like kind of dismantle that institution by feeding into it. And I know that sounds really counterproductive, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know. So usually I watch anime and the most I'll do is read manga, but there have actually been several series that are based on light novels where I really want to read the light novel, if that makes sense. I actually did try to read Under the Oak Tree light novel. So if you don't know, that one's not like an isekai or anything. That is a romance light novel where this noble lady is essentially betrothed to this warrior, and he's like kind of low class. Well, he goes to fight in a war and he disappears for like 3 years, mind you. And in the so like they get married, and then like the day after they get married, he gets like sent off to war. Like that's how fucking quick this shit is. So anyways, so through this war, he becomes lord of, of this castle. And and he has his own estate and his own land, and then because he defeated like the big bad of what they were going to war against, he comes back a war hero. Well, when he comes back a war hero, he is abso-fucking-lutely pissed that his wife never went to his house, never went to his lands. And, that's kind of rude, number one. But number two, he also doesn't realize that, like, his wife, how should I put this? She's essentially verbally and physically abused by her family. Like, they don't like her. They actively hate her. They don't think that she's, like, worth anything. And, essentially, they sent her husband to the front lines in the hopes that he would die. And when he didn't, they were kind of like, fuck, now what do we do? So essentially the light novels and the manga series, because I know people have seen ads for the manga series. It's not a manga, it's a webtoon. So I know people have seen ads for the webtoons. Trust me, it pops up. But in any case, so in the webtoons, I did read some of the webtoons. It's kind of it's a bit intense, but I did manage to read the light novel. There's two variations on the light novel. The first iteration of the light novel comes from the wife's perspective. She suddenly thrust from her tyrant of a father to her tyrant of a husband, because he's like dark, broody, and mean, and it's very Beauty and the Beast-esque in the sense that he's a brute. She actively doesn't know how to run an estate or lands. She doesn't even know how money works. And she's freaking out that at any moment he will kick her out and she will be homeless. There is another light novel series where it's entirely from his perspective of the story. And his perspective is interesting because essentially he's known her since they were like children, and he's been in love with her, but because he's a commoner, he's never felt worthy of her. And so in the 3 years that he went off to battle, he had been writing to her, he had been he had been having his lands be prepared. he kept asking the steward, where is she? Like, has she made it home? Has she made it to his estate? And the steward is just like, no, she's not here. I don't understand. And he's like, he doesn't understand either because he feels like he's being rejected. So on the one hand, she feels like she's been abandoned. And on the other hand, he feels like he's being rejected by a princess. Okay. Well, I don't think she's a princess. I know she's high nobility. Not a princess, but high nobility. So by the time he gets done fighting in this fucking war and he has to go home, like, he's just like, are you rejecting me? Do you not want to live with me? Like, he's actively freaking the fuck out. But of course, because he's a 6 foot tall fucking lick my Abadonis, like, you know, when you see that coming at you full on charging and you're like shy, quiet, and, you know, scared of getting the fucking shit beat out of you, like, yeah, you're gonna be fucking terrified. All right, it don't matter how fucking hot he is. Sorry, rant, but this is a romance. All right, I'm a woman. Or yeah, I'm a woman. I look, I can appreciate the eye candy. All right, hot men are hot. So anyways, God, I am just jabbing and spoiling all of my favorite shit. But in any case, so yeah, so I tried to read the light novel, but eventually, like, the light novel is rife with like miscommunication on both ends, and I finally got to a point where I was like, either fucking talk and make up already, or just have sex. Just fill the pages with sex, all right? Which I think they have different like censorship like over in Japan, so they can't like do that. Like, they can apply it. I think they like imply it, they fade to black, like they do all the like teasy shit with the censors in the webtoon, right? But they can't explicitly like show or say like anything. But come on, we all fucking know what's going on, right? Like, they have a whole ass bath scene together. Shit is very hot and bothered. If it was one of my romance books, like, they'd be getting it on, all right? God, I'm a filthy degenerate. Oh well. But oh my God, you can tell I'm sleep deprived. I'm rambling. But anyways, yeah, so I wound up stopping reading the light novel because I just couldn't handle the amount of like miscommunication that was going on between them. Which is ironic because I paid money to buy digital copies of the light novel so I could try to reread it again, and now that I'm remembering, all my PSD is coming back. PTSD. Anyway, so on premise alone, it's a very unique love story because it's an arranged marriage where the husband left, and now that he's home and he has his wife in his castle, in his lands, he's trying to do everything he can to like make up for the fact that he like disappeared for 3 years. And he's like, do whatever you want, renovate whatever you want, money is no cost. Well, again, she doesn't know how money works. And so she doesn't know like if she can make any changes or if her husband will like any of the changes she makes. And so what winds up happening is she goes to the steward, and the steward is like, well, you know, you're the lady of the castle, your will is the like command. And so she admits to the steward, she's like, I don't know how money works. He's like, how the fuck do you not know how money works? You're like, you're nobility, you're like, you know, high in station. And she's like, I've never touched money. I've never been allowed to touch money. All right. Like, hell, I've barely ever been allowed out of my freaking room. And so the steward decides that he's gonna be, like, her tutor. And of course, this, you know, makes her husband a little bit jealous because he just sees that she's spending more time with the steward, who's another guy, than with him. And she eventually gets more comfortable around the steward, and she's still like uptight, you know, with her husband. And so, anyway. So yeah, that's like that in itself is a whole freaking thing. But anyway, fast forward to me attempting to read this light novel. Finally, I get so like sick of it that I'm like, all right, what happens? How does this end? Does he ever like find out the fucking truth about what happened and about her, you know, essentially being abused by her family? And someone on Reddit was like, spoilers TM, happy endings all around. I was like, okay, thank God. And then I just didn't pick it up again. But then I saw that it was on Kindle. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I was like, I really enjoyed like the first few chapters I read in this. And like I've seen the webtoon, which is actually interesting because the app that like the webtoon is on is using AI to like market this webtoon. And I'm like, how are you gonna do one of your best webtoons that fucking dirty? All right. The comments are great because it's all like hardcore fans of the series being like, actually that's not what happened. I love it. But I love the chaos. Oh, pardon me, I sneezed. But in any case, so yeah, so there's live under, I think it's live or I think it's live under the oak tree. Actually, I'm dumb, but yeah. So that's the other light novel series that I kind of want to try rereading. Good or bad, or you know, like anything in between. I'm a sucker for romance, I can't help it. The other light novel series that I also really want to read is the Overlord light novel series. And some people take issue with that anime specifically because its main character, Ainz Olgon, is like max level overpowered. Right? So, the story with that particular isekai is that this game, I think it's called like The Powers of Yggdrasil or something. Yggdrasil is getting shut down, and when the anime starts, the main character, you know, this is his favorite game, and it's a virtual MMO, right? So he plays through like one of those like headsets, essentially like VR headsets, and so his favorite game's getting shut down, and so he invited like all of his guild members to come to, you know, like a party that he was gonna host in honor of in honor of the last day that the servers were going to be up for this game. And, well, I think only one of them, like, showed up. And the servers are going to go down at, like, midnight. Well, he stays, he commands all the NPCs to follow him around, like, this guild that they built. And he reminisces about, like, all the memories that he had with his guild members. And, you know, how they all eventually went on to play, like, other games and do other things. And he was just kind of like the NPCs left behind, but he didn't want... He was that kind of dude that didn't want the NPCs to feel abandoned, which is why he, like, stayed. Well, as a result, he essentially gets trapped in this dead game. And, this isekai story is him getting trapped in his, skeleton mage. And, he now lives in the world. But things have kind of changed. It's not the same world. His guild isn't in the same location that it used to be. But things are very similar. And so he's kind of like panicking because he can't get a hold of anybody. He can't get a hold of game masters. He can't get a hold of moderators. Like, dude's hardcore freaking out. On top of that, he's not a human anymore. Like, anytime he feels overwhelmed, he just suddenly gets this, like, eerie sense of calm that, like, washes over him. And the NPCs kind of take on the personalities that they were programmed with, and they come alive like they're real people. And so what he decides to do is he decides, over the course of the first few episodes, he's going to rule over this world that's dominated by NPCs. He's just like, you know what? I'm here. I'm stuck here. This is my favorite fucking game. Fuck it. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here forever, and I'm gonna rule. And so he goes about making a grand, like, monster army. Now, where other isekais are like, oh my god, hero-kind, you're here to save us. In Overlord's case, he is not a hero. He would be what we would call the antagonist, the big fucking bad. So yeah. And so some people don't really like that anime because he is, like, so overpowered from the fucking get-go. But I like it because it's very much a representation of that one quote from Megamind, where Megamind's like, oh, you're a villain, all right. You're just not a super one. And Titan's like, yeah, what's the difference? And Megamind goes, presentation. And does that really, like, big presentation-y thing. Okay, I don't know why I thought I could do this all tonight, but I'm getting kind of eepy. But yeah, so I really want to read the light novel in that series just for, like, more context about the world of Yggdrasil and you know, like, all the, like, NPCs and characters and whatnot. It's been a while since I've seen the anime. Last time I had watched the anime, I think there were, like, 3 seasons, and now there are, like, 5 or 6. Which is funny. So it's funny because I actually watched Monarch's video about this. So Monarch did a video where her and Sayu were talking about crazy lines they had recorded. And Monarch talks about how when she was playing this lizard girl, Crush Lulu, in the Overlord anime, Crush Lulu looked at her like male love interest, and like they were getting prepared to like go fight Ainz and Ainz's army, and she basically, Crush Lulu looked at her love interest and was like, "Freed me." And Monarch was just like, "That is the weirdest line I have ever had to voice act." Like, I stood in the sound booth and I was just like, did I really say that? Did that really come out of my mouth? Yes, it did, Monarch. I apologize. But yeah. Okay. This is all I can do for now. I apologize. I'm getting eepy. Thank you for coming to my my anime TED Talk, spoiling all the great animes and light novels for everybody. I don't know why. I'm really like intensely like passionate about it. So let me turn up some thingy things. If I turn up the body, turn off the head, and then we'll lighten the tail. What does this look like now? It kind of looks like a little dance, like a little birdie dance. Okay. So I seriously had some tech issues, and I apologize about that. That was a me bad thingy thing. I do appreciate everybody who stopped by. I know this was later than what I usually do to stream. I'm not reading into anybody because I just don't want to chitty chat, but I am gonna end it here. I will be back later. It's 2:41. I'll be back later today with some more Another Crab's Treasure. I will full on admit, tonight's stream might actually be kind of boring because I'm going to be slated to dying a lot. And, so I completely understand, like, if you have other streamers you would rather watch, if you would want to skip tonight's stream, completely and utterly get it. But I have been fighting. I have been practicing, for the past few days on, getting better to fight Firth. I got 2 new adaptations. I actually looked up a guide and I found I think it's the tentacle and the sea urchin adaptation that I think could probably help me fight Firth from a reasonable distance. I think the sea urchin one could probably help the most. Other than the electric eel one. And I did get those upgraded. I did kind of run around to other areas. I apologize for not filming that for y'all. But essentially what I was doing was I was grinding, and I may do a little bit more grinding before I get on stream tonight just to earn some microplastics and see if I can get my level up a little bit higher. So Firth doesn't like one-shot the shit out of me like he was doing last stream. I may actually mine microplastics. I may film myself mining microplastics just to have some b-roll like footage of stuffs. But But again, thank you everybody who showed up to stream. Again, I apologize for it being late. I'm going to repeatedly get spanked by a god when I stream again. So this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad. Tuesday we'll be back for some more painting. I am gonna order some more pen nibs because I've never replaced my pen nibs or my pen nib, and I don't know where my original replacement ones are. Actually, I think I might be able to find them. I'll look and see if I can find them before I order more. Friday will be co-op gaming with friends. That's always open invitation. I'll try to reach out like before then. I'll see how well Steam Remote Play works with some more friends. And then Saturday, I do work Saturday, but I am gonna give my full attention to the third level of animation. We're gonna redo this, and I'll be a little bit more wide awake. So I hope y'all have a good whenever, and I will see everybody in the next stream. Much love. Bye-bye! I say as I can't find the stop streaming button.